what I thought I'd do is have a go just using Photoshop and layers instead. Essentially what we've got is two parts. This is a dark one, normal, -1, probably +1, -2, +2. So I think we'll get the best sky from this shot, and we'll get the best foreground from that shot. Even that said, it's still fairly dark. You know, if you look there, there's not a lot of detail going on. This is a problem with drones. They just don't seem to be that great in low light at the moment. Maybe the Mavic 2 is a lot better. So let's have a look. What I'm going to do is firstly get the sky looking quite cool on this. So let me just go into edit mode, and I'll close this bottom bit for now and the top so we get a bigger picture. And this side, because we're not using presets. There we go. Right, sky. So to get the sky looking good, if you want to get detail into a sky, dehaze is your friend. Let's add a little bit more vibrance and colour. So we're going for something a little bit, you know, fake but fun. That's a combination we're allowed to have. Almost tempted to add a little bit of magenta to the highlights. So if we go to the channels on the curves, and drag it down a little bit, not much. See how it's just added in that magenta before? That's with it, that's without. Right, so we've now got a fairly cool looking sky. So if we go back to the bottom here, and we'll go to the brightest one to do the lower areas. So now we're looking at this bit. We can ignore the sky. So what we'll do, let's just so I'm trying to eke detail out of this now. Again, we'll go for a nice bit of colour. See, even just not massively blown away with this. I mean, the reason it looks a little insipid is because the sun had actually set on this area, so this is in complete shadow. So if you want a bit of a lesson from what you're watching me do now, it's to go out well before sunset and capture anything that's in a valley that way, because you end up with this sort of detailless mush in the shadows. Let's look at these trees. Well, you can see bits of detail there, I suppose, can't you? What else can we do with this? Maybe let's just sharpen the edges a little bit. I'm just putting my finger on the Alt key and moving the masking along, because I don't want to really sharpen any plain areas, but might as well sharpen the edges a little bit. I don't think there's any lens corrections for the Mavic Air, which is a drone I used at the moment. Cool, alright, we've done all that. So next bit is to go to our two. Let's see how different they are. So you highlight the two of them, pressing your control key, you right click on them, you go to edit in, and then open as layers in Photoshop. What I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to put the dark one on the bottom, the bright one on the top, and then I'm going to put a mask on the bright one. And now I'm going to get a fairly soft brush. It's on maybe 10 to 20%. I'm going to get black. So if you go down to here, I press the X key to swap over to black. And now just fade that in. See how I'm literally just going over it and over it and over it slightly. So we've got the good sky and we've got the decent foreground. So now it's all pretty much one big shot. Is maybe just add a little bit of curves, because it's all effectively one shot now. That's pretty much the process we go through. So the original one we did using HDR in Lightroom, you always end up with these weird sort of halo. It's not massively obvious, but it's just annoying to me when I look at it. If we look at the one we just done in Photoshop, it's a bit more realistic. Let's have a look. Lightroom, Photoshop. Well, that's a combination of the two, isn't it? So that looks a little bit more realistic, doesn't it? I mean, maybe the orange we've got in the sky there should be reflected in the lake, but this is more time consuming. That's pretty quick. You just select the 5 shots, press Ctrl, Shift and H, and you get a mega file. But it does have issues. Let's have a look what the detail on this is like. So that's quite smooth, isn't it? What's it like on this one? so it's quite edgy. Although we did do an edge sharpen, didn't we? Well, there you go. That's 2 different ways really of editing the same shot, and I think just to try and get the most realistic result on the sunset, you probably do have to go for the brightest one for the foreground, the darkest one for the sky, and then just manually blend them as best you can in Photoshop. Thanks for watching.